Well, it's that time, sports fans. It's time for some more straight talk. It's Wednesday night. Sorry I missed last week. I got a little tied up watching a video, kind of doing a little research, and I went, "Holy crap! It's Wednesday night," and I was a little sidetracked. So, got a few messages from people. Hey, where you at? Well, my bad. We had tons of stuff going on in the news. We have cool thing that happened. Well, before we get to that, I'd like to thank our sponsors out there. I'm echoing here somehow. You know what? I know what it is. It's my headphones are right next to me. Let me turn the volume down on them thing. That way I don't have to sit there and hear it echo. But I'm going, where the heck's that coming from? But no, we had special thanks for our sponsors, Area51CoffeeCO.com. So log on to www.area51coffeeco.com. They got 2 roasts, extraterrestrial bean, and DEFCON 1, high alert caffeine invasion. Check them out. I guarantee you'll like them. Actually was last week, they played the Field of Dreams game in Dyersville, Iowa. And the iconic movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, I mean, talk about what a cool situation. That the complex that they built over there is just awesome. I mean, I heard they're going to dismantle it, and then they're going to bring it back in next year. But why not just leave it to let other kids, use it as a field, or people go out there and see it? What a game! Also, White Sox Yankees, and the White Sox hit a walk-off home run to win the game. But the cool thing about it was when Kevin Costner walked out of the corn, and then the players walked out of the corn. That was really cool. Neat. Something you don't see very often. Apparently it was the highest rated Major League Baseball regular season game in the last 16 years. So that's pretty impressive. I had people I know that had tickets. I would like to have gone to that game. That would have been cool. But no, I wasn't going to spend the money that they were. And there's a picture of Costner coming out of the crowd. Pretty cool. And also you got the players coming out of the corn. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So they plan on coming back next year. I guess it's going to be, from what I heard, Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Cubs. We'll see if that changes or not, but that's what the preliminary. And I can understand why Major League Baseball wants to do it again when you get ratings like that. So, I mean, that's positive things you want to see. It probably did a ton for Dyersville. The family there that owned it. I'd heard years ago, and I don't know how true this is, but I'd heard that there were 2 families that owned, one owned like the house and one owned the stadium, and they were kind of feuding about it. But I mean, apparently only one of them owns it now, but it's it's a big boost in the arm for Dyersville, that's for sure. I love to see smaller towns like that get recognized, and that was a cool movie, great movie. I mean, one of the classics. I don't know how many times I've seen it. James Earl Jones. I mean, his voice is so awesome. What a great voice. He's one of those that when you hear him talk, it's pretty impressive. But he was Darth Vader. So make sure we're up here. I want to make sure our stream's going good. We in the golf world, getting ready for I guess this was one of the last. Apparently, we lost our stream there for a second. GoPro decided to try to do an update right in the middle of the show, and then it crashed everything. So, nice. Thanks, GoPro. I don't even have a GoPro hooked up to this thing right now. Yeah, I don't know why they would want to do an update. I don't have the computer or the GoPro hooked up, so it's not even being in use. But, yep, we're back live again. We're talking about the Field of Dreams game in the movie. Making sure that it's telling me, I'm trying to do is get my stream on Facebook, and it keeps telling me, you're live in 2 minutes. I'm already live. So if anybody sees the stream out there and they can respond in, let me know that you see it out there. It has been probably the craziest last, I don't know what it is, everybody talked about how, what is it, 2020 was bad? Well, this 2021 has been bad for me. I mean, not completely bad, but I mean, I've just had too many relatives and too many friends pass away. And not COVID related. I'm talking about just all different types of reasons. And it's sad to see that. I've had, I plan on doing a show about suicide. I had a friend of mine commit suicide on the 19th of July. We were police officers together down in Texas, and I if you'd have told me that, I mean, I still don't believe it. It's just very hard for me to believe that, you know, that he would do that. I would have done anything in the world for him to, you know, try to talk to him to see if I could help him. I just, I can't, I don't know. I'm still in awe and shock of it. Another friend of ours told me, and it did make sense to me. You know, I understand everybody has things that are going on that they have to deal with. But, I mean, there's always help, always somebody out there. My daughter's she's a social worker, got a master's in social worker. And, you know, I talked to her a little bit about it, you know, because she deals with a lot of that with people. And maybe someday I'll have her on the show. Because, you know, she's dealt with a lot of that, people with trauma. We a couple friends of mine were, you know, being former officers, we were talking about, you know, what it's like to go through trauma like that. And we're going to discuss that a little bit later, but sticking with golf right off the bat, apparently the golf world has reacted to Tiger Woods news. And it's not what you think. It's not about Tiger coming back to play. It's his caddy. His caddy is, and he actually, and I got to give him credit. Tiger's caddy is a class act. He, you know, La Cava is his caddy, been his caddy for, I couldn't tell you how long. Well, apparently he went to Tiger and asked him if he had any problem with him caddying for Patrick Cantlay. And he's going to caddy for Patrick Cantlay in the Northern Trust this week in New Jersey. He's serving as a temporary replacement who is out with COVID-19. So it's not a permanent gig or anything for him leaving Tiger. I got to give him credit. He's stuck by Tiger's side. He even told Tiger that back when Tiger was having all his issues before, that if he says, I'm sticking by you. And he goes, if anything is to, if he didn't play golf again, he said he wouldn't caddy again. And I got to give credit to him. But Tiger said, nope, go ahead and do it. So that tells you they got a really good relationship with each other. He knows that he'll be back the second that Tiger needs it. And everybody, people go, oh, he's done. Well, they said that before. I really don't think Tiger's done. He's too good a player. But it's when he'll be back, who knows? Do I think he'll be back? Oh yeah. Yeah. He's just too good. I tell you, he probably beat most of the players out there with probably a run set, knowing Tiger. I mean, it's hard to imagine having that golfing, level of golfing ability. Most people don't even, can't even fathom that. When he was in his prime, his, streak of consecutive, I forget how many, it was Greg Norman held the streak, world number one streak for, let me see. And, everybody thought nobody would ever do it. And then Tiger came along. And Tiger did one thing that nobody will ever, I can't see it ever being repeated or even beat, is Tiger won 3 junior U.S. amateur titles and three junior amateur titles back to back to back. And then he went 3 U.S. amateur titles back to back. So that's 6 years in a row he won, went from junior to U.S. Am titles. And in the amateur world, those are major championships for them. I don't see anybody ever repeating that just because it's so hard to win the U.S. Am. But to win 3 junior Ams and 3 U.S. Ams, that's crazy. Tiger's one of those that's rare feats. And everybody somebody made this statement that Tiger doesn't have the level of competition that Nicklaus did. And I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, there's no way that Jack, I don't think, had the level of competition that Tiger has. These guys are so much, they have strength coaches, nutritionalists, they have people that, psychologists. They got everything. They work out. They do everything. You got guys that never worked out, never did anything. The players nowadays, for every guy that's on tour, there's 1,000 guys waiting to take his spot. It's unbelievable, the guys nowadays. So for somebody to say that, Tiger doesn't have the level of competition, but Tiger doesn't have the level of competition because he was that much better than everybody. He was taught at a young age his dad would stand there and make noises and do everything when he was putting to try to get him to ignore it. He made him mentally tough. And that's the biggest thing with golf is one, learning how to score, learning how to play the golf course, and learning how to be mentally tough because, the good players, the thing that faults them is their own head. The pressure comes from yourself. It doesn't come from anybody else because there's no defense in golf. Nobody can play any defense. It's all offense. It's what you do to win the tournament. You can't, There's no garden. There's no anything like that. So it's just, you're playing the course. And you put it against yourself pressure. We have, like you get up to one of the par 3 holes that has water. And I ask a lot of amateurs, I said, what is your first thing you see when you get to that hole? Oh, the water. I'm like, why? The water doesn't come in play. If you're hitting on the range, you don't think about just off the tee box, coming into play where I'm going to hit it just over the, you think about whatever your target is. But we tell ourselves this. We tell ourselves we can't do this. We can't do that. As we get older, we tell ourselves that all the time. We can't compete at that, or we can't do that. And that's where we're wrong. When you get to a certain age, of course, there's certain things you can't do, but, for the most part, you can. I am reload page. Yeah. But so you look at Tiger. Tiger was groomed by his dad to succeed in golf where most people, falter. I think he'll be back. Brandel Chambly used to sit there and, oh, no, he's done. He's done. He can't even chip. He can't do this. And he comes back and he wins what? He comes back and wins the Masters, and he comes back and he wins, the Tour Championship. So, yeah, it's easy to sit there and say he's done and not realize he proves everybody wrong. That's what's amazing about Tiger. If you think he's out, bet on him. And you're talking about betting, they always talked about how Pete Rose bet on baseball. Well, Pete Rose, do people go, do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame? And I said, yeah, I think he should be as a player. Maybe not as a manager, but as a player, for what he did as a player, he should make it in the Hall. His stats are way beyond it. Did he bet on baseball? Did he ever? I don't think he ever played as a player less than 100%. Do I think, was it Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa should go into the Hall? Yeah. Because I think that, and, when they went to that home run derby, they knew that guys are steroiding at that time. They didn't care. Now all of a sudden they got this self-righteous, oh my Lord, they're doing steroids. We need to do something about it. They knew about it. Come on. I mean, it was ridiculous. But what did it do? It brought people back to baseball. And after it brought people back to baseball, then they went, oh my Lord, we need to do something about it. We need to stop that. Now, come on. If you didn't know that they were doing steroids, you had to be blind. I mean, you got Sammy Sosa. He's, 3 times as big as he was when he came out in the league? And same with McGwire. McGwire was the same way. Half the guys that were in the league, they said were doing probably steroids at that time. They had one, who was it? The one, I can't think of his name. The one player, he was in front of Congress and talking about doing steroids, about how, and he come up positive. There were like 50 guys or whatever it was that popped positive. It's for entertainment. But, how they can sit there and say, okay, you can't do steroids, but last year, or 2 years ago, when they had the Astros were doing the trash can incident where they were taping They had the camera on the players and they were cheating, and how you had to be stupid not to know. They had a camera set up right in the hallway and had a guy beating on a trash can to tell him when a pitch was going to be a fastball or curveball. I talked about this before. Imagine if you're a young pitcher trying to get in the league and they put you out there to, they put you out there to go against the Astros, and they're doing the trash can deal. Telling you when the fastball's coming, telling you when a curveball's coming, because they're stealing the signs with the camera. And you look at a young pitcher, he might have lost his career because they went, oh, God, he come up from, minors or whatever, and he goes and pitches against them, and they go, wow, this guy's got nothing. One game. He gets shelled because of, they're cheating. And then nobody talks about that. They did no punishment to Houston, really. They just went, oh, well, we'll sweep it under the rug. Nope, never happened. I'm like, are you kidding me? How you sit there and you go, well, this is bad, but, oh, we didn't see that. It's like, I kind of, same way in politics. They went crazy about Cuomo, all the stuff he did, and they totally ignored, and they went crazy about Trump, but they ignored Joe Biden, all the stuff he did. Oh, it was just harmless. Oh, it's just Joe. Yeah, sniffing people, and, I'm like, it looks just as creepy to me as I don't understand how that's okay and the one isn't. Well, right now, Joe Biden's got he's got problems going on with Afghanistan. I might get into that later, but that's, if you saw the video of that was bad. I could not believe, but before we get out of that, golf, Jordan Spieth sponsored with FanDuel. First golfer to be sponsored by FanDuel. Partnered up with them. Is good, bad? I don't know. Of course, in golf, he's not going to sit there and I wouldn't think he would sandbag it for, to make money. I don't think it's going to make him money that way. But, it's not quite like baseball where, you could affect the game. Like, especially, they always talked about Pete Rose being, betting on baseball when he was a manager, that he could have affected the outcome of the game according to his bet. And, you would think that he wouldn't do that. I don't know. But, that's something, that was Pete Rose. So, but, yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Being sponsored by a betting company. I've never done FanDuel. I don't have anything against them. I don't have anything, positive for them or positive against them or negative against them. I've just never done it. I've never done a sports betting. I've never been any good at betting like that. So I'm not saying I wouldn't try it, but yeah, I know some people that are a lot better at betting than I am. So I like all my notifications are popping up right now. And I'm like, wait a minute. It says you're going to 28 minutes. You got a video scheduled. And I'm like, I've been on live for 26. So, but, yeah, I'm trying to get my feed. But you have, in other golf news, we had, apparently, I have to open this article because it's an interesting article about they were seized. It says fake golf clubs seized. Years ago, they had a bunch of clubs seized. It was an anti-counterfeiting group seized nearly 10,000 fake golf clubs in China. He said a new report claims that a sequence of 3 counterfeit shakedowns have gone underway, capturing 9,769 clubs and numerous golf accessories, along with 10,600 pieces of trademark tags, labels, according to Golf Week. The details shared by the U.S. Manufacturer's Anti-Counterfeiting Working Group, an organization made up of 6 companies, including Acushnet, which owned FootJoy, Scotty Cameron, and Titleist. You got Callaway, Cleveland, Strixon, and Axio, Ping, PXG, and TaylorMade. Those are the big ones. Those are all the big ones I guess since 2004 has ushered the closing down of more than 1,500 websites, and more than 2 million pieces of counterfeit golf merchandise have been detained and removed from commerce. You know, I'd heard in China they have factories where, because I mean, a lot of the clubs are built in China, which is crazy, because I heard that they got one door of that factory, one goes one way, one goes the other way, and they're counterfeiting the same. I've had counterfeit pings. I've seen them before. They look almost identical, except for they're made very cheap. They don't have the actual ground serial number in the hosel, which if you have a ping golf club that's legitimate ping, it's going to have a serial number ground in that hosel. All of them do. If you have, it's like, a stamping of a firearm. They can track all that. They have them all in their computers. So, like, if you buy a set of pings, and let's say you lose your 7-iron or whatever, they actually build extra heads so you can reorder a 7-iron to match that set. And that's what's nice. They'll put it with their exact specs from when they were purchased. It's I mean, they got websites out there where you can, if you lose an iron, and it kind of really messes up your set when you do. We get lost and found clubs all the time. I mean, most of them are off brands. I mean, there's so many knockoffs, and I don't mean knockoffs are not necessarily counterfeit. Knockoffs are clubs that, like, you'll have like a Ping G20 or something like that, and they'll have something in. They'll say, there'll be a Ping C or something C20. There'll be something that's kind of like the name, and look kind of like it, but not have the same playing characteristics. There's a ton of money in R&D and golf clubs, and people don't realize that, especially in golf balls too. One of probably the thing that has had the most improvement from when I was a kid to now, that's improved over 1,000 times better, is the golf ball, and it's stayed relatively cheap compared to what everything else has. But yeah, I'm glad to see them get those counterfeit clubs out of there. Because people buy that stuff, and it really, it runs down the market. I talked about this before. I don't like the companies where like if they're selling to me for me to try to sell them, where they're selling them to. Doesn't do me any good. So. But other news in golf, we had a homicide suspect in Colorado. Apparently they had a shootout with him on the golf course in Colorado at golf course called Thornton Creek. And I'm like, wow. I mean, so we've had some crazy things happen on the golf course. We've had just last year, I think it was, we had a guy that was a mental patient running around on the golf course. One morning, the superintendent went up to the one green to cut the cup. Early in the morning, it's like 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock. I mean, 'cause they start real early. And it's pitch black out, and he pulls up the green, and there's a buck-naked man stands up, and he jumped in his cart and drove off. He's like, oh, no, no. And I said, you don't know. He could have been rolled or something like that and left him there. But, yeah, you never know going out on the golf course at night what you're going to run into. You have, you get some people, I mean, and a lot of nocturnal animals that are out there like skunks and raccoons. But, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not messing with skunks. I've been almost sprayed when I was a police officer. My squad got sprayed one time. I clipped one. But, yeah, I don't know how many times I washed that thing in 3 days. Took forever. We put in a little pine tree scents on the mirror to try to get the smell to go away. But we had probably one of the coolest stories out of golf that I saw was a gentleman that was disabled. He was disabled from birth. He had no arms and no legs. I mean, probably has him down to just short of his elbow, but he was able to teach himself how to play golf. And he has legs are only down to just short of his knees. And he was able to do is faction a golf club and able to swing it and taught himself how to play golf. They showed a video of him chipping and putting stuff. I was very impressed. But he had a hole in one. It says John Robinson. He said a hole in one at Colony Country Club, the par 3 15th hole, which is 105 yards. I said that's pretty impressive. You know, to overcome obstacles like that, he doesn't see those obstacles. That's awesome. You know, most people would be just like, oh, I can't do it, and just, give up. We have a few people that play at the golf course that are one arm, that, just swing the club with one hand. They got either a messed up hand or somebody. I had one gentleman that had a withered arm, so he wasn't able to hold on to it with that. Probably one of the best tour players, Calvin Pete, driving of the ball. Calvin Pete was straight as an arrow. I mean, he hit more fairways than anybody, and he had a withered arm and won tournaments with it. I mean, a great ambassador for somebody that has, obstacles that they overcome. I'm a big, I don't know what it is. I just don't feel, when I go through a parking lot, you see the handicap wheelchair on the ground. I don't even like to walk over the wheelchair logo because I feel it's respect to people that have to live their life that way. My father-in-law lived he had to go, he was paralyzed after surgery, and he last like 5 or 6 years of his life in a wheelchair. And what a great guy. It's just, it's out of respect for them. If I won't park on a handicap spot. I even try to do is give clear space to the next to them, because it's hard to, get into a wheelchair and get into your car when a car is parked right next to you. Yeah, and some people don't even care. But yeah, that's pretty impressive to make a hole in one. They had, police are, I thought this one was funny. Police are seeking the owner of lost meth that they found on the golf course. One, I don't think he's going to come in and claim it. I did have one time we found, it was called a one-hitter. It's a block of wood that they put marijuana and they use this like little pipe down. It's like spring-loaded pipe that's inside the the wood, and the guy comes back and he goes, you guys didn't happen to find a piece of wood in the cart, did you? And I'm like, smoking marijuana is illegal. And he goes, on the golf course? I said, no, anywhere. And this is years ago before some of the states have legalized it. I really was shocked when I heard that some, I don't know, it was like Utah or something like that, or one of the states that legalized cocaine. I'm like, seriously, that's a great idea? No. That's like, it's like California. Some of the places in California, we won't arrest unless it's over $1,000. So they go into a store and they just steal up to $1,000 and leave. How can any business stay open doing that? That makes no sense. They're not even going to prosecute. So what chance does a business have of staying open if they're going to sit there and steal? And they're bold. They go right in it with a garbage bag, fill it up, and walk out with it. They had last week was on frankspeech.com. That was a website for the Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. He did a election symposium about the hacking of the election, where he brought up evidence about it. And I don't know if you didn't have a chance to watch it. You can watch it at frankspeech.com. There's all kinds of articles about it. But the things that really surprised me was all the effort that's been done to discredit everything that's gone on with this symposium. All the media was there except for Fox News. Even CNN had 6 people there for it. Are they going to report it like, everybody else does? Who knows? I can't say how they're going to report it, and I haven't looked to see how they report it. But some of the stuff that I saw, they had SQL management, MySQL management software was found on the voting machines. And MySQL is a database program that's used for manipulating databases. You can do pretty much do everything you want. 4G wireless modems were found on motherboards in voting machines. Well, that's why they say they weren't hooked up to, the internet. Well, heck no, they had wireless modems already hooked to them. They talked about the one, probably there's 2 guys that were on there that really kind of made me think about, some of the stuff that went on. And one of them was it was like a professor that he deals with mathematical algorithms, and that's what he said. They said they based the voting on the 2010 census. Well, he went through all the Ohio counties, and he applied this one algorithm to one county, and then he figured out the algorithm from one county, and he applied that algorithm to the rest of the counties, and he did a flow chart to show where the voting went, and it was almost identical to what he predicted. Another gentleman was on there, and anybody that came out about it, they shut them down. They shut down one guy who's running for officer, shut down his Twitter. And I'm like, really? I mean, if you have nothing to hide with the election, open everything up. Sun exposes everything. They call it bringing sunlight to stuff. And if there's nothing there, bring it open. Let it out. If there's nothing there, you can really pounce on them and make them look bad. But I think they're afraid there is something there. There was more people received. There more ballots came back than actually went out. And I'm like, the absentee ballots. I'm like, and right now they're talking about making people have IDs and vaccine passports going around. Well, how come you have to have an ID to walk around to go to a store or restaurant or anything like that? But you don't need one to vote. How does it make our election more secure to not have an ID? And they were talking about how right before the election, one of the I forget what her name was or and what state it was, but they reinstituted like 600,000 or 500,000 people that were legally taken off the voter rolls that had passed away and moved and all this. I'm like, why would they put them back in? That makes no sense. There's a lot of things going on. I don't know where he's going to go with it. I don't know if it's going to, I mean, what do you go from there? It was very interesting to watch. Did a lot of people talk about it? No. Why? Because they don't want to talk about it. Because how would you do this? And I heard it didn't just affect presidential races. It affected state races, all the way down to local races, because they did the algorithm all the way across. They go, why did Hillary not win in 2016? And the reason why is they were saying that they didn't realize Trump was going to be that popular. And he overshot the projection. So, yeah, it'll be interesting as where they go from here. But, and they have to do is resolve something before the 2022 election because the midterm elections, because if they don't resolve it, it's going to be the same problems again. You know, they want to, I hate to see everybody being locked down where they go, okay, we're going to lock everybody down. You vote from home. No, I just don't think that's right. That's too much ripe problems that can happen. And then they're talking about booster shots for COVID now. That was out today. You know, a lot of people are afraid to get the first one, and they're talking about giving a third dose. And they had all this stuff going on in Afghanistan, and I figured President Biden, when he comes out, he was going to talk about, you know, Afghanistan and COVID and all that. He talked about COVID and getting the shots, and that was it. And he turned and walked off. And he was like, where is the conversation about Afghanistan? That video that they show, and they don't show him taking off. I haven't seen that. They show a freeze frame of the C-17 jet up in the air where the people were hanging off the wheels and the wings and everything. And they took off with those people on the plane, on the outside of it. They're so scared they want out of there that bad, and they just took off without them while they were on the runway. People were running alongside the plane as it's running down the runway. I'm like, how would you, I could not stomach taking, it'd be like running somebody over with a car. You know, just go ahead and run them over. And people go, well, we don't need to be over there in Afghanistan anymore. I said, well, that may be right. That may be so. But the thing I have against it is you have, we've been there 20 years. You have a kid that's 19 years old. All he has known throughout his whole life is that Americans have been here somewhat protecting them from the Taliban. And then all of a sudden, they just go, see ya. I'm like, really? And they said, oh, well, we had, 300,000, Afghanistan army that was supposed to protect themselves. Those people aren't going to protect themselves against the Taliban. They're going to run. And they did. They were there for a paycheck. They don't want to fight their own people. They don't want to fight the Taliban. A lot of those people will get slaughtered when the Taliban get there. There's a rumor that the Taliban are looking at people's cell phones, and if they see a Bible on their cell phone, like an app, they're killing them instantly. They said sales for burqa prices have gone way up because they make all the women wear burqas and veils. I'm like, wow. I mean, and the people in this country act like they are oppressed. You know, there was a young person that was talking about how, you know, people are going around and saying, "Oh, we have it so bad." We did, as they're sitting there using their smartphone, watching their Netflix, eating out at a restaurant. You know, they don't realize how some people around the world have it, and I still can't understand is they want to mandate all Americans with the vaccine, and on our southern border, they're not requiring any of them to come in with the vaccine. And how it's okay for them to come in the southern border down Texas, but the Cubans that were coming across, they were sending them back. And I'm like, I don't understand the reasoning behind that. They're both feel that they're in an oppressed regime or whatever, so they're coming to the United States for a better life. What's the difference? Is it because the Cubans are going to come across with the notion of, you know, being communism or Marxist, you know, government, that they're going to vote against what the Democrats want? And the ones coming from Mexico are going to vote for them, so that's okay to bring them in. The problem is there's no middle road anymore. And that's what's scary about our country. It's either you're way left, or you're way right, they think. Most people I know are not that way. But in politics and the government, they are. You know, whether you like Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump, that means nothing. I don't dislike Donald Trump or like Donald Trump. I liked his policies. I don't dislike or like Joe Biden. I dislike his policies. Some of the things he's done. We're going to hit double-digit inflation. The housing market for building houses, that's gone down. The used housing market, they're going crazy because nobody wants to build. And then also they have what? A moratorium on evictions. Well, let's say you own rental property. Do they have a moratorium on the payment to the bank in those properties? Probably not. You know, what do you do in that situation? They say, "Oh, they can't kick you out, but they can't pay you rent." Somebody come up with a great idea. You know, they're talking about they had the extra money for unemployment. Why not pay an extra money for people that are working? There'll be people out there finding jobs in a heartbeat, going back to work to get the extra money. And what it would do, it'd help our economy, wouldn't it? There's restaurants that are, all over town that are got help wanted signs up. There's people that are saying we're hiring everywhere. And if you put in that kicker to say, hey, if you work, you'll get the extra money. I think that would be a great idea to be a shot in the arm for people to go back to work and help them go back to work. Yeah, I don't know who brought that up, but I thought that was a great idea. Do I think it'll happen? No, because the reason why is they want you. Then you're not independent on or dependent on the government. You know, they want it to be where you have to keep your hand out like this. Like they want it to be like the crack dealer. Oh, first fix is free. Okay. Now that we got you hooked on it. I mean, it's hard to sit there and if you got the opportunity to vote for somebody that's going to do is give you extra money, or you got, I'm going to vote against it because I don't want that free money. No, most people that don't have a lot of money, they're going to vote for that. And where's it going to do? They don't realize it's going to raise prices on everything else. So, I mean, look at the gas prices in California. They're outrageous. You know, they shut off the pipeline and think that that's not going to cause any effect in oil prices. I mean, it's gone up almost it was like $2 around here last year, maybe less than that, in the 170 range. Now it's working its way to $4. It's almost double. Where do they think it's going to stop? And then they're talking about going to this pay per by the mileage. Yeah, everybody, I don't drive that much. That'll be great for me. Yeah, but you don't realize that every truck that you have that brings food, that brings goods of any type, they're going to add that on top. Everything that you have, Amazon, when they deliver your whatever it is you order, they're going to add it on top. UPS is going to add it on top. FedEx is going to add it on top because they're going to have to pay. They're going to, this will help us, pay for roads. We already pay for the roads. They just don't use the money as it's a set aside to fix the roads. They earmark it for something else. The money's already been paid in to fix the roads. They have toll booths down in Florida. They have toll booths all over the place, and I hate them. I can't stand toll booths. I mean, because it's like you go a mile, you're stopping, going through a toll booth. You go another mile, you're stopping, going through the toll booth. Then you go like 4 or 5 miles, you stop and go through a toll booth. Yeah, I know it's the way they pay for it, but it just it drives you nuts because you got to slow down and all the lanes go into a bottleneck, and the only way to do it is to have one of those iPasses or whatever on your car, but every time you go through that, it dings you. And if you had to travel back and forth to work through, like when we're down in Orlando, we go through 3 of them. And we go to play golf in the one golf course, and one's like $1, and another one's like $1.25, and then it's like, you're spending $3 to go each way. You spend $6 in tolls in a day, and all you did was drive to one part of Orlando and back. I just hate toll booths. Normally when they put them up, they say, we're going to have tolls on here for so long. And the only place I've ever seen it lifted was what they call the Centennial Bridge here, and that crosses the span of the Mississippi from Davenport to Rock Island. It was a toll booth when I was a kid for years, and they actually pulled it out. I was shocked to see that, the Centennial Bridge was removed. The toll booth was removed. I didn't think it'd ever come out. And usually when they start taxes, they don't usually pull them. They're there for good. They had, different things that they're talking about to try to increase revenue. I can't believe they haven't legalized marijuana federally, and I think they eventually will. I think they're going to, most of the states are going to legalize because they're going to tax it. And whether you feel it's right or wrong, is it any much different than somebody drinking beer till they're stupid? And then, there has to be laws against it where you can't drink and drive, you can't smoke and drive. It's somebody's choice of their habit. Do I think even if they legalized it, would I do it? No. I don't even drink. It's legal to drink, and I don't. I've had people buy me drinks, and all that. And I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you. Nope, I don't. It's not that I'm against it. I just don't have the time for it. Too many things going on. Been a bad 2020. Lost my father. Lost my aunt. Lost my cousin. Lost two good friends of mine through suicide. Lost my niece's husband. Lost a lady that worked for me, her husband. And another lady that worked for me, her mom, was right after my dad. And I have an aunt right now in hospice. I'm like, my mother-in-law was airlifted to the hospital 2 days ago. Apparently she's doing well. I'm glad to see that. Joyce, get well soon. I just like, it's like, holy smokes, all the stuff coming at you. And people think, they go, oh, I got it bad. And you're like, somebody always has it worse. So be happy with what you got because you might not have it tomorrow. Yeah, that was, and I saw on the back of a shirt today, I saw a slogan for, he works for me, but he is a track coach for one of the high schools. And it said on the back, master the art of showing up. If you're going to work, master the art for being there for work. If you're going to be there for whatever you say you're going to do, master the art of showing up. Be there when you say you're going to be there. Do what you say you're going to do. I had to dispatch on tonight, and been pretty active. Had a shooting going on. Had a shooting that went on a couple weeks ago where 4 people were shot. And there was 2 rival gangs shooting at each other in cars. It happens. I hate to see it because what happens is usually when the gangbangers shoot at each other, they end up hitting somebody else. I never quite understood. Years ago when we were kids, it was like, they pulled out the fists. They fight that way. Now it's, you got to get the gun. Oh, got to carry the gun, be cool. It's a sad state that we're in, that you see a town that I grew up in that's this much gunplay. And people go, oh, just get rid of the guns, it'll stop it. It's not going to stop it. You could sit there and you try to get all the people that are legally own guns to turn them in. Well, the people that don't legally own them, they're not going to turn them in. Come to think of it, criminals don't follow the rules. So, yeah, right now, what I heard, one of the rumors in Afghanistan is they're going house to house seizing all the weapons from civilians. That way they have nobody to rise up against them. What are you going to do? That's how you do is you get your resistance to stop. Then they take their thumb and just grind it down on you. make all the women wear burqas. I mean, they treat them like dogs, and I never understood that. You know, I hope that something is done, and we have tons of American over there that are trying to get out, and they said they were not going to give them any priority, and President Biden comes out and says, "I stand by the decision," and it was ABC News was interviewing him, and he says to him, he goes, "Well, we seen the picture of the Afghans falling off the plane." He goes, and Joe Biden snapped at him. So that was 4 or 5 days ago. Like, it still happened, and he hasn't responded 4 or 5 days ago to it. So yeah, I don't know where you go from there. It's going to be pretty interesting. They're going to have to do something, but I would not want to be over there. I feel for the people that are. I feel for the people that worked with us and the Christians that are over there, because they're just going to slaughter them. People have no idea and no concept. Oh, as long as I can get back to my shows, I'm fine. I can turn it off and I don't have to look at that. That's the way most people think. Oh, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, it does. Down the road, it will. So, well, it's that time of the night. We're a little over time already. Hard to believe it's been over an hour. Got any topics you want to talk about? Shoot them at me sometime. Something you guys want to discuss, or anybody wants to come on. We can answer live calls if you want. But remember, if you see something, say something. Got a special prayer for my mother-in-law and my aunt, who are both in care right now. Hopefully they can get better soon. It's also for my son, who graduates from the police academy this Friday. Hopefully he has a healthy and safe and long career. Hopefully everything will go back. Healthy and safe is a big thing. So, yeah, I told him, I said, when you see things that happen, don't tell your wife, don't tell your mother, come talk to me. We can talk about what you've seen, and we'll go over it, but don't put that stress on them. So, well, it's that time. We'll call it an evening. We'll see you next week for some more straight talk. Have a good one.